In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to knit these super easy baby booties. You can make them using straight needles and they're made with a garter stitch. They're part of the Laurel baby set, which includes the little cardigan sweater, the little pants, and the matching little hat. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you links to all of those tutorials. Now, these little booties are for 3 to 6 months, but you can easily make them smaller or bigger, from a newborn size and up to 12 to 24 months. In the information box below, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make them smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop up here on the right hand side and in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. Now, to make these little booties along with the whole set, this is the yarn that I used. This is a medium number 4 yarn, but you can also use any Aran weight or 10 ply. For the 3 to 6 month size, you're going to need a total of 32 grams. For the 0 to 3 month size, you're going to need about 30 grams. Depending on the size that you make, you may need less or more. Okay, let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notifications bell. And remember, all of my tutorials are always in English and in Spanish. Thank you so much for watching. To knit these little booties, I'm going to be using 5mm circular knitting needles. These are 24-inch, but you can also use straight needles. And the yarn that I'm using is this medium number 4 yarn. You can also use any Aran weight or 10 ply. So here, to begin, the first thing that we need to do is we need to cast on our stitches. I'm going to cast on a total of 26 stitches. I'm going to show you how to cast on your stitches using the long tail cast on method. If you prefer to use any other method, you can. It's okay. So here, to begin, I'm going to measure the yarn first. I'm going to wrap the yarn around one needle 10 times. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here I have enough yarn for about 10 stitches. Double it up. I have enough for about 20. Double it up. I have enough for about 30 stitches. Now add a little bit more. It's best to have some left over than to have to repeat this again. Now make a slip knot. This here is the yarn that we just measured, and this here is coming from the skein. Now insert the needle through this loop and open up the yarn like this. Now to cast on your stitches, you're going to go from left to right and you're going to grab a loop. So let me show you like this. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on until you have 26 stitches. I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished casting on my stitches. I have 26. Now here at the end, tie a knot. There. Now to begin row 1, the first thing that we need to do here is the cuff of the little booties. We're going to start from the top and work our way down. So to start here, we're going to make a 2x2 ribbing. This means we're going to knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. I'm going to do this to the end of the row. Again, knit 2, I have the last 2 stitches, knit 2 here at the end. And here's row 1. Now place a stitch marker to mark the front of the baby booties. This is going to be the front and this is going to be the wrong side. I'm going to place a stitch marker here on this side. Now you can also work this part in the round if you want to avoid the seaming of this part here. It is going to look a little different and I think it'll look nicer, but that would be up to you. I'm making this a super easy baby booty pattern, so I'm going to turn for every row. Now for row 2, this is on the wrong side. Slip the first stitch purlwise Now the next stitch, purl 1. Now knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. This is how I'm going to continue to the end of this second row. Here are the last 2 stitches, purl 2. Turn for row 3 up to row 18. We're going to repeat the last 2 rows. This is on the right side, row 3. Slip the first stitch purlwise, then knit 1, purl 2, knit 2. I'm going to do this to the end of this third row. The last 2 stitches, knit 2. Turn for row 4. Row 4 is on the wrong side. Here, you always slip the first stitch purlwise, purl 1. This is the wrong side. Then knit 2. You just work these stitches exactly how they are. If you see that they're knits, then you make knit stitches. If you see that they're purl, then purl 2. And so on. This is how you're going to continue until you have a total of 18 rows. So continue just repeating these last 2 rows that I showed you, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making these 18 rows. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make some yarn overs here around row 19 so that once the booties are done you can either pass a ribbon or just make a long chain just like I did here. So to start row 19, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to slip the first stitch purlwise, knit the next stitch. Now I'm going to yarn over, then purl 2 together. Knit 2, yarn over, purl 2 together, knit 2, yarn over, purl 2 together, knit 2, yarn over, purl 2 together. This is how I'm going to work row 19. And here is row 19. You should have 26 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. Perfect. Now turn for row 20, slip the first stitch purlwise, and then purl 1. Now knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. Continue across this row. Here at the end, purl 2. And here's the 20th row, which was worked on the wrong side. Now turn. This completes this part here. This part. Now we're going to start this part. So to do this, we're going to make a total of 12 rows where you just knit across each row. So to begin here, for this row, row 1 of the body of the baby booties, slip 1 purlwise, and just knit across like this. Now for row 2 of the body, turn, and beginning here, I'm going to knit across, including the first stitch from here on. So knit across. This second row of the body of the baby booty is being worked on the wrong side. Here's the second row, turn for row 3. And from here on, you're just going to repeat the same thing. You're just going to knit across, and you're going to do this for a total of 12 rows. So continue, finish this part, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making these 12 rows in garter stitch. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to start to decrease and shape the bottom of the booty. So here I'm going to place a stitch marker after 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Place a stitch marker. Now count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Place a stitch marker. Here you should be left with 11. So here to begin row 1 of decreases, I'm on the right side. Here I'm going to knit 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now knit 2 together. Pass the stitch marker, knit 4. Pass the stitch marker, knit 2 together, knit 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here is row 1 of decreases. We have decreased 2 stitches, so at the end of this row I have 24 stitches. Now turn. Now for row 2, all you're going to do is just knit across. This is the wrong side. So continue, finish row 2. I finished the second row, I knit across. Now for row 3, in this row I'm going to decrease. So here I'm going to knit 8. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now knit 2 together. Pass the stitch marker, knit 4. Pass the stitch marker, knit 2 together. Now knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here's the third row. I have a total of 22 stitches at the end of this row. Turn for row 4. Here all I'm going to do is just knit across, and at the end of this row I'm going to have 24 stitches. I finished the fourth row. In this row I just knit across. Now turn for row 5. In this row I'm going to decrease. So here I'm going to knit 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now knit 2 together. Pass the stitch marker, knit 4. Pass the stitch marker, knit 2 together, knit 7. And here is row 5. At the end of this row, I have a total of 20 stitches. Now turn for row 6. In row 6, all you're going to do is just knit across. So just knit across for this 6th row. I'll meet you at the end. I finished row 6, I knit across, I have 20 stitches. Now turn for row 7. Here I'm going to knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now knit 2 together. Pass the stitch marker, knit 4, pass the stitch marker, knit 2 together, knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here is row 7. At the end of this row, I have 18 stitches. Now turn for row 8. For row 8, all you're going to do is just knit across. Finish row 8, I'll meet you at the end. I finished row 8, I have 18 stitches. Now for row 9, I'm going to remove the stitch markers, we don't need them anymore. Here for row 9, all I'm going to do is just knit 2 together across. So beginning with the first 2 stitches here, knit 2 together, knit 2 together the next 2, knit 2 together the next 2, and so on to the end of this row. The last 2 stitches, knit 2 together. And here's row 9. At the end of this row, you should have 9 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Now turn for row 10. For row 10, all you're going to do is just knit across. And here is row 10. I have 9 stitches. Now turn here. This completes this part. Now I'm going to cut some yarn. I still had some left over here. So I'm just going to cut some yarn that's long enough for me to seam this part here. So I'm just going to measure this 3 times the length of this opening, about that much. Cut the yarn here. Now I'm going to remove these 9 stitches. Now through this loop here, insert the needle and pull the yarn to close this hole. Now this part here is done. Now we're going to seam this part. To do this, the important thing here is that these rows correspond to the opposite side. So I'm going to start right here. Insert my needle through this row. This is the last row. And then go through this stitch here. Find the next row right here. Same thing. Find the next row here, and so on. Here's the last row, and this part here is done. Now give this a little tug here. There, that's how it looks. This is the bottom of the booty, and this part here was seamed from the right side. Now I'm going to turn this to the wrong side, and I'm going to close this here from the wrong side. Now here, Same thing. The important thing here is that these rows match to the opposite side. Now for this part here, I'm just going to go in the middle of the stitch here. These are the stitches that we were slipping as we started each row. So here I'm going to go and find the first stitch along the very edge right here. Here's that V-stitch. For this part, I'm going to go in the middle of 2 stitches like this. Now on this side, same thing. Here's that V-stitch right there between 2 stitches in the middle. Insert your needle. Now there's other ways that you can join this part. I like this way because it's not as bulky as other methods. Again, find the next 2 stitches along the very edge right here, and between 2 stitches insert the needle there. And this is how I'm going to join this part. Continue this way until you come here to the top. I will meet you right there to show you how I'm going to join the first stitch with the last stitch and then show you how to hide your ends. And this is how it looks right there. I finished closing this part. Now I'm going to join the first stitch with the last stitch here. So just find this last stitch and then go here. This is the first stitch. And then go back through the last stitch again. And this part here is joined. This is the wrong side. This is how it looks now. We're going to turn this to the right side. Here's how it looks. This is the part where we joined. Now I'm going to hide this tail end here along this column of stitches. So I'm just going to go through this first stitch, the next one, and then just continue your way down. Do the same with this tail end. And here's the finished baby booty. This is the bottom of the booty. And now you can fold this over like this, and it's all done. Here's where we joined. That's how it looks. Now what you can do is just weave a ribbon through or just make a long chain like I did with this booty. This is about 65 chains and I used the same yarn weight with a 4.5mm crochet hook, and I just did a long chain here. You can also just weave a ribbon through. That will be up to you. Now this is the bottom part of the booty. I'm going to try it on my little model. Let's try it on. And here's the finished booty. That's how it looks. Look how cute those are. Here's the smaller size. Now these here, I made them exactly in the same way how I showed you these. The only difference is the needle size. To make the 0 to 3 month size, I used 4.5mm knitting needles. If you want to make it for newborn size, then just make it exactly in the same way and just use 4mm knitting needles. So these are the finished booties, and this is how they look. Look how adorable these look. They're super cute. Now this stitch pattern is super stretchy, so that's why it accommodates very well to this tiny little foot here. As you can see, it's very stretchy. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make them smaller or bigger. so be sure to check that out. You will also find the links to the matching set in the information box. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box as well. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.